for reserves. And it's just a symptom of the imbalance. So it should be dealt with, but not by that kind of crude method. It should be dealt with by restoring the balance in the world economy.
You have mentioned this time and again about the role of the international community, but again, it's, you have to sort of take a time out and say it's going to take a while. This whole global rebalancing, and everybody talks about it, but talks the talk, but nobody wants to do it.
Right.
Where are we on this situation?
And it's true that there is no really very coherent international monetary system. There's no authority, there's no rule book, there's no institution that has been capable of maintaining the discipline that's necessary generally in the system. And that's been true for a long time, and there was a feeling, well, it doesn't make any difference if we don't have all those institutional arrangements because floating exchange rates will take care of it, and the markets will equilibrate themselves if we just leave them alone. And that was the prevailing orthodoxy. The financial world in general, financial markets and exchange rates in particular, will deal with these imbalances as smoothly as it's possible to do so. I think what we've seen in recent years is that faith is no longer so relevant. People no longer can believe that simply sitting back and letting the market make all these adjustments is really going to be the best way of dealing with it. The nameplates, we can change the particular countries involved, but the hard, real issue remains to get resolved. And countries have their own particular interests that are very hard to reconcile. It takes a great leap of analysis and imagination to create a system that individual countries will recognize as in their mutual benefit, even though it limits their own freedom of action to some extent. You have to have some rules, and they have to be well understood rules, and people have to be willing to follow them. We don't have that now, or we don't have it sufficiently. So that's a real challenge. It's another reason we need some patience. You're not going to reform the international monetary system tomorrow, but I do think it needs some reform.
I want to focus a little bit about yourself. You have the ear of the United States president. He listens to you,
well,
economic advisor.
I wouldn't exaggerate that.
But who do you listen to in terms of getting fresh perspectives that adds to your?
I'm an old man. All my perspectives are old, maybe too old. We need younger people out there to provide the leadership.
What are they telling you in your conversations with some of these young people?
Well, some of them tell me I'm too old-fashioned. I say, well, I'm old-fashioned in a way, but I want to go backwards so we have a firmer future.
We're coming very close to the end of the year, 2011. What do you envisage is likely to be the biggest challenge for the Obama administration?
Well, at this point, it looks like it's not going to just be a challenge for the Obama administration. Mr. Obama is the president. But part of the Congress, anyway, is going to be Republican. So it's a challenge how to get some constructive action with the administration and the Congress together. I think it's fair to say in the last 2 years that cooperation has not worked for whatever reason. It's been antagonistic consistently. And I don't know what's going to happen, but if that continues, it doesn't bode well for, in my judgment, for the kind of change that is necessary and will impede the change that's necessary rather than contribute to it. So I hope there's a different attitude with a real change in the Congress.
What would you tell President Obama?
Well, I tell President Obama that he obviously has to recognize this change, and I hope from his standpoint he will make a contribution toward the kind of cooperative behavior we need, but that takes two. And I'm not making I'm not capable of making a prediction as to how it will work out. I hope ironically, I hope it's a better environment than when the Democrats were in control on both sides, but that's a hope.
So to wrap up, Dr. Volcker, any parting thoughts?
I'm going to spend most of the next 2 weeks in Asia, but it's amazing to see this part of the world so strong and growing. Only, a little more than 10 years after the Asian financial crisis, when it appeared that Asia was in big trouble. And since that time, enormous progress has been made, which I think should bode well for the future. But we have a lot of changes that have to be made in the United States for sure, but in Asia as well.
Dr. Volcker, thank you very much for speaking to us on Channel News Asia. Thank you.
Providing you Asian perspectives from around the region. Channel News Asia.
Time by Frank Muller. Brought to you by Watches of Switzerland.
On Asia Today, South Korea stages its largest ever joint ground and air fire drill amidst accusations of warmonger tactics by the North. Japan hails the U.S. Senate's approval of the nuclear arms control treaty with Russia. And Indonesian police launch a massive operation to ensure security during the Christmas and New Year holidays. Hello, I'm Li Fu. Welcome to Asia Today. South Korea has held its largest ever joint air and ground fire drills in a major show of military strength. The live fire exercise took place this afternoon at Pocheon, south of Korea's heavily armed land border. The military reportedly invited students and other civilians to watch the 40-minute exercise. Some 800 troops took part in the drill, which also involved fighter jets, tanks, missiles, and multiple launch rockets.
통상 이루어져 왔던 그런 훈련이고 또 북한으로부터는 상당히 떨어진 지역에서 이루어지는 훈련이라고 이해를 하고 있습니다.
The Navy is also conducting a 4-day exercise off the East Coast, which began yesterday. The drills come as President Lee Myung-bak visited a frontline army unit. Mr. Lee reportedly told troops that they must never step down vigilance against the North. He also said the military should launch a merciless counterattack if the North repeats last month's surprise aggression on the South. North Korea attacked Yongpyong Island on the 23rd of November, killing 4 people. Pyongyang has accused Seoul of warmonger tactics, saying the drills are aggressive in nature. But its criticism has been more muted than normal. The North also failed to carry out its threat of merciless punishment for the South's live fire drill on Monday. Experts say Pyongyang's restraint this time only suggests a strategic pause in its tactics of testing the limits of Seoul's patience. They've warned that the North is likely biding its time for another military strike. Leader Kim Jong-il is believed to see such acts of aggression as necessary for a smooth power transfer to his heir apparent.